of make me itch sometimes. I was raised Baptist, so I just want to let you know I appreciate that somebody that was raised, somebody Baptist on the phone with me, because all these Kojaks on the phone, they can make me sweat. I feel like I got to get some glitter, and I got to get some, I got to come in here with a tambourine. So thank you so much, Sister Aunjanue, for just, you know, for just repping some of the Baptists, even though we're not saved all the time. Thank you for just representing. So let me go to the creating of this script, and to be able to find these moments of authenticity that you had to do as a director and as a researcher. How did you even begin the journey as the one that was curating the narrative on paper for Aunjanue and everyone to be able to follow? What was the period of time that it took you to be able to make sure that this script was authentic and it spoke exactly to the period that we were able to see on screen?
So the journey of the writing started over 15 years ago when Camille Tucker worked together with Dr. Holly Carter to create a version of the script that was taken to Lifetime. And then once it was there, another writer who hails from Chicago, Sylvia L. Jones, then created another version of the script. And that was the script that I was handed as a director to then interpret into the movie. And from that script and the moment that I met Aunjanue Ellis, and what I also discovered that, my goodness, she is a scholar of the Clark sisters. She came with so many different ideas that came from her vast research and understanding of these sisters from a point of view of love and admiration. So a lot of things were implemented into the script as well that just elevated the storytelling. So it was really a conglomerate of different storytellers and writers who put this manuscript together that then came to life through all their wonderful actors and cast and crew.
Wow, that is incredible to know that these incredible actresses, they contributed to what was on paper, and they brought their own life experiences, and that just shows the gravity of the impact socially and culturally that the Clark sisters had upon culture, that everybody that was part of the movie at some point in their lives had heard of them, had been impacted by them. And rarely is there a biopic that so many people personally have had some type of close, tangible connection that was something that they were able to quantify in their own execution of it. And that leads me to even ask I want to ask Miss Dorinda, I want to ask you, before we talk about how beautiful you are, how incredible you are, how dope you are, and then I want to talk to the actress that portrayed you. But when you saw Miss Aunjanue on screen as your mama, Miss Dorinda, I want to know how deep the layers were for you to kind of peel back to see this incredible young woman portray a lady that you knew when the cameras were not on, because your mama was a star before social media was before the advent of social media and all the things that could have made her even more well known. How did it feel to see this incredible actress transform into the lady that you knew as mama?
Well, I was really deeply moved. I was moved to the point where it brought tears, just like it is now when I just heard her talk about my mom and talking about us. But it really, it got me to the point of saying, this woman has to have met my mother.
Wow.
There is no way in the world that, I mean, we couldn't even find anybody in the United States that could have played her the way she did. And Aunjanue didn't know anything about my mom. And I'm sure, just watching just videos and how she just stepped into character. Because me and my sisters were saying the same thing. We was like, wait a minute, this woman is acting just like mama. And
Wow.
everybody, Kirk, everybody that saw the movie, that knew my mom, that was under her leadership, that was in the choir, that was around her most of the time, they kept saying, whoever that lady was,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
got your mama down pat. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it was incredible. And you know what? The first time we saw her, when we walked into the room, we were getting dressed to do the last scene. And when she walked in, she had the ball in the back. She had just a little simple skirt on. And when she walked in, we all looked and we said, "Oh my God, she looked like mama." And the
Wow.
thing is when she came over, it got so real until we all started crying when we saw her.
Wow.
That's how intense this thing was and how real Aunjanue and stepping into character. I mean, it was just amazing. And really, when everybody saw the movie is when we really actually saw the whole thing. Because you know
Really?
we had to kind of screen and see what was happening. But when we saw it, like everybody else, we were in tears again. So that's how an impression that this woman has given to the world. And I just want
Yeah.
her to know that she has really played my mom to the T.
Yes.
I just wish she could have met my mama.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. It was the scariest thing in the world because it was past acting. It was the most out of body experience that you could ever experience with a trained actress. And we've got other actresses on the phone that I'm going to get to or on this call. But my last question for Miss Aunjanue is because it was so iconic. It was so, for me, revolutionary too, for the first time to be able to see you on the screen. Just tell me a little bit about your past, Miss Aunjanue. What were some other roles that you played before this? Because let me tell you something. If no one had ever heard about you before this movie, I guarantee you that you are, along with all these other actresses, because the fact that all these other actresses can sing and they embody these characters. But my last question for you, Miss Aunjanue, is that what was your history as far as an actress before you were able? And I want to know who called you? Like who did you get the call from? Did you have to audition? Was it somebody's cousin that said, you act like my auntie? When you walking down the street, did you go to church and Jesus text you? I mean, how did you find out about this movie?
Well, I found out about, it was pretty, it's not really a great story, I mean, I think like the getting of the job is not, I don't have any like protracted, story about it. I got a letter in the mail, in my email saying that you are, actually the letter said they wanted me to play Jackie. They wanted me to play Miss Jackie. Oh. And so I just knew, yeah, Angela, I was supposed to have your role. Don't play.
Wow.
But no, because then I thought it was a joke, or that they had sent me the wrong information. So I was literally probably up all night, restless, because I couldn't wait for Los Angeles to open so I could say to my agent, like, yo, you sent me this letter saying that I've been offered the role to play Miss Jackie Clark Chisholm. And I'm like, you can't play with my emotions like that. Like, I worship these women. What are you doing? And she said, no, it's not a joke. It's not a mistake, but you're not playing Miss Jackie. You're playing, you would be playing their mother. And from that moment on, I just, I hit the ground running, and I was in New York. I was doing When They See Us. That's the job that I did before this. And
that's right.
Yeah.
That is right. Salute to you. Brilliant work.
Thank you so
Work. Yes, there you go. You look so much like Maddie. There you go. But please continue.
Yeah, and yeah, and I believe, even though like the getting of the job was not, didn't seem all that, doesn't seem all that impressive, but everything, I feel like my life was prepared for this moment. I went to church 3 or 4 times a week from the time I was 3 years old until I was 18 and went to college. I know these women. I know Dr. Maddie. I know her. I mean, she is a woman of extraordinary, infinite vision. She is a genius. There was gospel music before Dr. Maddie, and then there was gospel music after Dr. Maddie. So to play a woman like that, you can't play at all. You cannot play at all. And so yes. I did everything I could to try to get this woman, to try to get her right, to try to show homage and respect to the Clark sisters. And I would do everything from injuring my voice because I wanted to sound like Dr. Maddie. So I would be screaming into pillows. I would be screaming in the closets because the Clark sisters all have this sort of raspy quality to this. And I was trying to get that. I'm not a singer, so I was trying to get that. So I couldn't get that. So what I would do was I knew that Dr. Maddie and women like her during that period, they didn't have time to do what we do, which is one thing that we do is we digress. When we talk, we go on tangents. They didn't have time for that because outside of the church that they were in, outside of those doors was racism. So when they had to get a message across to these choirs, they didn't have time to digress, to go on tangents. They had to speak in authority at all times. And so that's what I tried to capture with Dr. Maddie, trying to capture her voice of authority. And then on top of that, I was aided and abetted by these incredible young women who people don't realize the acting job that they did.
Yes.
And Miss Christine can speak to that as well as they can speak for themselves. But they were acting on top of acting, right? They were vocally acting, singing, Shalea, right? But then on top of her own singing, she was trying to sing like Dorinda Clark-Cole. Angela was trying to sing like Jackie Clark Chisholm. These are the most amazing singers probably in the history of singing. And so when I showed up at work every day, all I had to do was listen to these young women sing, and my job was easy.
Well, listen, as I know, I want to thank you. I want to let you know how much we appreciate everything that you have brought to this incredible moment in history for our genre and for these incredible women. I know you ain't got to tell it because I know it's probably your secret. You probably walk around the house with them glasses on still every now and then because, you ain't got to tell nobody. As I know you do, I feel that in my heart. And you probably slide around with the other kitten heel that you didn't throw. But I'm so proud to be able to have you on this phone. Listen, so thank you so much, my sister. You are an incredible actress and I wish you so much success in the future. I got to go real quick, though, to the future of gospel music. Is I got to go right now to a question for the future of gospel music that's on this conversation. A lot of us saw you when you were singing with your mother as a little girl, and even as a little girl when you were standing by Karen, it was something different about your voice. It was something different about the timbre in your voice. It was something different about your smile. You had a very incredible spirit, and now you have become the face of the future of gospel music. And not only are you the face of the future of gospel music, you can act. Little Kiara. I'm sitting here watching you on the screen. I'm like, wait a minute, daughter got some chops. I was like, has she studied the Meisner method? I was so impressed with you as an actress. I'm like, okay, she's out of here. And so Kiara shared.
Yes.
I just want to know from you, how was this experience for you, Miss Kiara?
Well, first, thank you for those compliments. That means a lot coming from you. You are the legend of gospel music, so thank you. But it was a personal experience for me because, again, it was me not just having an opportunity to have a resume builder, but this was giving me the opportunity to have a way to perform and appreciate my mother and my aunt. So it was personal. However, I had Christine Swanson on my head. I had Dr. Holly on my head. Like, you make sure you come in here and you do this right. And so I appreciate the accountability that they gave me, as well as seeing Aunjanue in human flesh. Like, I've seen her in films, but now I'm like, wait a minute, I'm about to be one of her daughters, so I gotta come with the heat. You know, so it was really good. It was and then having these sisters who also came with the heat, with the acting, it was a great experience. I'm still kind of like baffled and speechless at the fact that I was able to be a part of such an historic moment in gospel music and entertainment. And I mean, I think I'm the youngest one that is a part of the cast. And so I felt like I had to come with the heat. I couldn't come with no, B-list kind of presentation. But again, I was super honored to, number one, honor my mother and my aunts, because while I honor so many other gospel legends, they are the ultimate legends that have blazed the trail for me.
No doubt.
They're timeless voices. So it was really a blessing for me, and I count it a privilege. And I don't know what else to say after that, but it was fun.
I have to tell you, you were mesmerizing on that screen. You embodied your legacy, but you at the same time were blazing a trail of your own. And to be able to have that type of duality is very unique for such a young talent. And the fact that your career is just exploding and growing on so many levels, I tell you, you are the face of the future. You are the face of the future for the genre, for the community, and I think just for inspirational entertainment. I think that you are serving it well. You got your clothes line, and you got your this, you got your that. I need to know from you though, what has been the biggest pressure, or what was the biggest pressure for you when preparing specifically for this movie?
The biggest pressure for me was having to sing like Karen. Like, I come from her, but I don't sing like her. Like, she
whatever.
No, I mean,
whatever.
I mean,
let's move on. I'm not gonna fight with you.
I have proof. Listen, I have science.
You're a liar. This is a Christian movie. You're lying. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
I have proof. Listen, I needed help. Like, when we were in the studio, I told Uncle Donald, I said, Uncle Donald, there is a note that you're trying to have me to hit that she was hitting when she was younger than me. And I couldn't hit it. I had to ask Angela to help me. There were runs and acrobats that they were doing before my time that I couldn't. And you know how our parents tell us, don't say you can't. I literally could not perform vocally some of these things that these insane women were doing. So that was a huge pressure for me, because the Clark sisters have a fan club. They have a community of supporters
Yes.
that like the Beehive. They will come.
It's like a cult. It's like a cult.
Yes.
Go ahead and call it what it is.
I had that internal pressure. Like, I got to make sure I deliver like vocally, because there are musicians that are going to watch this movie that usually don't probably even watch movies. They're going to just be like, I'm a fan of the Clark sisters, so I got to see what's about to happen. That was one pressure. The other pressure was, I'm more outspoken than my mother, and I had to pull back very often. So I could actually activate more of Jackie and Niecy than I could Karen. And they had to tell me, that's not Karen. You're being somebody else. You're being the other sisters.
That's
and Karen is
powerful.
more soft. And so then when I had to deliver the funeral scene, that was more Kiera. So I was like, oh, I get a chance to show out now. So
you was getting ratchet.
Yeah.
Wow. So those were my pressures and my challenges.
Listen, Miss Christine, can you do me a favor and introduce these incredible actresses that are on this conversation as well? Tell me a little bit about them, how you found them. They not only were incredible actresses, but their voices and their timbre. So Miss Christine, please tell me how you were able to just gather such a squad of beasts that were able to just pull off such this iconic moment.
Well, it really started off with me working on another project with Shalea. Shalay and I would talk incessantly about the value of having real singers in movies. And like, that would be like our, see actors lip sync. And we're like, why not just get real singers, you know?
Yes.
And
Yes.
during that process, I was hired to direct the Clark Sisters movie. And I was like, oh my gosh, Shalaya, like, who you want to play? And she was like, Dorinda. And so I dare say.
Can we stop there for a minute? Shalaya, can you say something real quick?
Can I what?
We just want, okay, is I'm going to have Miss Christine introduce everybody, but as she does it, is I'm going to ask you, Miss Christine, to stop when you do it so that I can then go to them. Miss Shalaya, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be talking about this with you and everybody else.
Listen, let me tell you, and Miss Christine, I'm going to have you come back in a minute, but Miss Shalaya, it is Shalaya, correct?
Perfect.
Let me tell you something. The way that you did your mouth, all the and all of the little things that you were doing, the is I need to know how much of that was you and how much of that was you embodying someone else because of the fact that you can sing. And I've heard my whole career that you could sing. I've always had people try to introduce me to you and tell me about you. And I'm so glad that this was the way that I got to just see you do your thing. How much of that was you? How much of that was you trying to grab hold of the essence of Dorinda?
That's such a good question. I don't think anybody's asked it quite like that, you know.
Because I'm
Kirk. Cause you Kirk.